Hello, everybody. This is BK International Talent Scout. I'm coming to you live. Today, I'm talking about let's help each other walk through the grieving process. As we come upon the holiday season, a lot of people begin to grieve uh, their loved ones that are in heaven. There's been a lot of things happening where a lot of people are passing away, which just puts people back in the grieving process. Let me read this to you. Let's reach out to each other that's going through the grieving process. Are you listening to someone that is grieving? That means, are you talking to people and what they're saying is showing signs that they're grieving? What are the signs of someone experiencing grief in their life? Do you know the signs of someone experiencing grief in their life? It's not just grief of a loss of a loved one. It could be grief of a loss of a job, a grief of a loss of a relationship, a grief of a loss of, of possession of territory, housing, cars, possessions, positions. You can grieve through the grieving process, and I'm going to be talking about today I'm going to be talking about the 10 steps of the grieving process that people go through, because it's really important. People are going through the grieving process during the holiday season, between now and New Year's Eve, all the way through the Martin Luther King holiday season. People are going through the grieving process. So let's watch for our family and friends that are dealing with grief. The 10 self-compassionate principles of the grieving process. Though you should reach out to others as you journey through the grief, you should not feel obligated to accept the unhelpful responses you may receive from some people. You are the one who is grieving, and as such, you have a certain rights no one should try to take away from you. The following list is intended both to empower you and to heal you and to decide how others can and cannot help. This is not to discourage you from reaching out to others for help, but rather to assist you in distinguishing useful helpfulness and unuseful hurtfulness. So let's go to the first one. You have the right to experience your own unique grief. No one else will grieve as exactly as you do. So when you turn to others for help, don't allow them to tell you what you should and should not do with your feelings. You have the right to talk about your grief. Talking about your grief will help you heal. Seek out others who will also listen to you talk about your grief. Sometimes you need to go to a grief counselor, go to a grieving session at your church, or sometimes you need to talk to a mental health specialist during the grieving season from now all the way through Martin Luther King holiday. Let me read number 2 again. You have the right to talk about your grief and express your grief any way you choose, verbally, physically, mentally, spiritually. You have a right to express your grief through writing, communicating, typing, texting. Just acknowledging your grief through those ways is very important. You have a right to feel a multitude of emotions: confusion, numbness, disorientation, fear, guilt, and relief. Just a few of the emotions you might feel as you take part in the grieving journey for yourself and for your family and friends. Others may try to tell you that feeling angry, for example, is wrong. Don't take these judgmental responses to heart. Instead, find listeners who will listen to you and allow you to feel fully and without conditions. So yes, you're going to feel angry. You're going to feel confusion. you're going to feel numbness, you're going to feel fear, and then at some point you're going to feel relief as you go through the grieving process. A lot of times in the beginning of the grieving process, you can feel numb. I was numb for like a year or two. When my sister passed away, I had no feeling. I didn't want to live. I was very angry. I said my sister Gloria, she was the nicest one. Man, y'all be careful who you get married to. Stop marrying these demons and devils and monsters. I said stop marrying demons and devils and monsters. Sometimes people pass away before they pass away. Sometimes people give up before they give up. Look at people. Look at their appearance. Look at their situation. Know the signs of grief in your family and loved ones and friends. Don't let just people walk around dead for years. If you can catch them in the middle of their grief, in the middle of their sorrow, in the middle of their pain, you may be able to save their life from ending soon. That's a real one. You have the right to experience grief bursts. Sometimes out of nowhere, a powerful surge of grief may overcome you. This can be frightening, but it is normal and natural. Find someone who understands and will let you talk it out. Yeah, grief burst is like sometimes a grief burst is when someone just will like bust out, start crying, bust out in anger, bust out in fear, just a couple of different emotions together. So I've experienced grief bursts of anger, grief bursts of crying, grief bursts where I'll just go off on somebody, man, all the way off. So don't mess with me, because I will let you have it. You have a right to experience grief bursts, and you need to let people know what grief bursts are and how to express yourself. Sometimes you need to write it out, talk it out, pray it out. Sometimes you need to go to a mental health counselor so you can really get the support and help that you need. You have the right to make use of celebration of life, celebration of their memory. The celebration of life does more than acknowledge the death of someone you love. It helps provide you with the support and caring people around you. More importantly, the celebration of life is a way for you to mourn openly and in community. If others tell you that the celebration of life or homegoing services or healings such as these are silly or unnecessary, tell them they're a liar and don't listen to them. Homegoing services and celebration of life events are very important. Learn how to celebrate the people that you love. You have the right to embrace your spirituality. If faith is a part of your life, express it in ways that seem appropriate for you. Allow yourself to be around people who understand and support your religious beliefs. If you feel angry at God, find someone to talk to that will pray with you, that will walk with you, that will acknowledge you, that will hear you out. They will not hurt you and they will not abandon you. You have a right to search for meaning. You may find yourself asking, why did this happen? Why did this person pass away? Why did this person go to heaven? Why this way? Why now? Some of your questions may have answers, someone may not. And watch out for the cliches and responses some people may give you. Comments like, it was God's will. I think what you do or still do, be thankful for it. Understand that God is the giver of life. Understand we need to know how to feel and deal with feelings of hurt, shame, pain, disregard. All those emotions are so important. You have a right to treasure your memories. Memories are one of the best legacies that exist after someone goes to live in heavenly places for eternity. You will always remember. Instead of ignoring your memories, find others with whom you can share your memories. Think of the good things your loved one experienced with you in your life. And lastly, you have the right to move toward your grief and healing. Reconciling your grief will not happen quickly. Remember, grief is a process. Grief is not an event. Grief can be a season. Be patient with yourself and be tolerant with yourself. Avoid people who are impatient and intolerant with your grief process. Neither you nor those around you must forget that someone going to heaven eternally or someone you love changes your life forever. So get that understanding. Again, you have a right to experience grief bursts. You have a right to make use of your celebration of life or homegoing celebrations or tributes. You can do a special tribute to your loved one to acknowledge their greatness in your life. You have the right to embrace your full spirituality and the love of God to surround you and keep you. You have a right to search for meaning. You have a right to treasure the memories of your loved ones, and you have a right to move forward in your grief and become completely healed from your grief, in your grief, and understand your grief. This is BK International Talent Scout. Let's pray for our family and friends that are going through the grieving process. Again, let's reach out to others during the holiday season. If you know anyone that has lost a loved one within the last 1, 2, or 3 years, reach out to these people because the holiday seasons are the most difficult time. I still miss my mom. I still miss my sister. I still miss my brother. I still miss my father. And I still miss my stepfather. Man, that's a lot of people in heaven. Hey, this is BK International Talent Scout. It's time to pray for people that are going through and walking through the grieving process. Ask God to show you who is grieving around you and how you can minister to them. This has been about grieving. You have a right to grieve. You have a right to walk through the grieving process, and then you have the right to be totally healed from the grieving process. But sometimes we have to walk through some things. This is BK International Talent Scout saying it's now time to pray for those that are grieving around us. Know the signs of people that are grieving and be willing to support them by listening, by praying with them and encouraging them, and most of all, walking with them through the grieving process and through the grieving season. This is BK International Talent Scout from BK Presents Radio Podcast, aired on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, talking about the grieving process, the 10 steps to getting through the grieving process. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Please share with others. God bless you and happy Thanksgiving season.